Welcome to the Pharos Digital Dojo. This is our root cause, root foundation, core basic learning. And here I'm going to present what I consider to be the first 10 levels of AI mastery, specifically ChatGPT. And we built this program to take somebody from absolutely never heard of ChatGPT. We call that the overwhelmed observer, somebody who's sitting on the sidelines wondering, is ChatGPT for me or not? And we take them to empowered advocate, which is our double black belt. And you will see on the screen here, we have a visual of our belts from white to yellow to orange to green, blue, purple, brown, red, black, and double black. And I will explain what each of these mean as we go. But basically, what I did, I've spent over 3 years, at least 10,000 hours, probably more, mastering and using ChatGPT. Now, that might seem like a lot of hours in 3 years, but the reality is when ChatGPT first came out, I was very skeptical. And then once I learned it and started to adopt it, I realized that this was the absolute most critical thing I could use in my business. It is by far the most amazing leverage in the history of humanity. And so, to be honest, I've spent probably every waking business hour using ChatGPT or AI in general to some extent. I've used it for a broad range of use cases, and I've tested. And what I did was I looked back on the 3 years and I broke it down and I said, okay, what have I learned? What built upon other knowledge? What knowledge was foundational? What knowledge was accumulated? And basically, I broke it down into 10 levels. So this is meant to be a guide to learning ChatGPT, not about actual practical, here's how to implement. So this is my theoretical roadmap. If I was to learn ChatGPT today, this is the shortest path possible, in my opinion. So basically, it has only taken me 3 years and about 10,000 hours to create this short course to give you the quick accelerant that you need to get started with ChatGPT. So I created this belt system, and if you don't follow martial arts, that's okay. You don't need to know anything other than we have a progressive path. So I'm going to rely on two people who've had an influence on me. One is real, one is a fictional character. The real one is years and years ago, I took Taekwondo, and my instructor, he would break things down into teeny tiny little steps, and he will have us practice and practice. And then before our brains could say, I can't do that, he'd show us how to assemble the little tiny steps into one fluid motion. And magically, we mastered it by learning the steps. The other is Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid. I think that's probably, we overcomplicate things in life, but I use his wax on, wax off to remind me to keep things simple. So what I did, I broke my knowledge down, things I've learned, things I've discovered, things I've mastered. I've broken it down into 10 stages. And I believe that every stage of mastery is a necessary step. This is from foundation to advanced, and it is a frequency and it's a deliberate rhythm towards true integration and innovation. So these are my names for the stages, but white belt, I put it at stage 0 because it is the foundation. Without the foundation, nothing else matters. With the foundation, we can build taller and stronger, and it'll last longer. So the white belt, we call that overwhelmed observer, and all the way down, as you'll see, stage 9 is our double black belt, empowered advocate. So this presentation, I'm going to walk through the skills that I believe we need to master to go from overwhelmed observer to empowered advocate. We have an actual video series where we teach this step by step and we share the details of it. This is high level theory. So if you're looking for a hands-on step by step, stop here, go watch one of our other videos. This is the framework. This is the overall plan, the blueprint for our building, which is mastery, not the final destination. Now, before we get into the actual belts, I want to share what I believe mastery means. And you might have a different definition, but to me, this is what I see as mastery. So step one of mastery is mastering the skills personally. So I'm going to learn the skills I need. I'm going to practice them with intention and deliberate towards mastery. So I'm learning and I'm being intentional and deliberate. I'm applying what I learn and I'm building upon it. So first stage of mastery is personal learning. Second stage of mastery, I personally believe you can't learn something thoroughly until you've tried to teach it and managed to teach it to others. So the second thing is teaching others mastery. And the magic of teaching others, it is a selfless act and it's a selfish act. So teaching others, I feel we all owe that. If we figured something out, we can help others, whether it's free or paid, it doesn't matter. But we can help others learn so that they avoid all of the wasted time and energy. Believe me, I've been down a lot of rabbit holes, taken a lot of tangents, detours, long journeys. I love helping people get here quickly. So the second step is helping others master the skills. And the selfish part of it is, while you're teaching someone, in my humble opinion, you cannot teach someone without learning something in the process. You're going to learn the blind spots you have, the biases. You're going to maybe, I might see something as a single step. You might learn that actually that's 10 steps. Teaching others to master is really, truly where you become more of a master. So these are the stepping stones. The third and final, in my opinion, stepping stone to mastery, and this is when I believe I can say I have mastered this thing, is when we take our knowledge and the knowledge both of learning it and teaching it, and we use that to innovate or optimize that field. So I have learned personally, I've mastered ChatGPT. I've taught countless others how to master it themselves. And now where I'm at is looking for new places and new ways to use ChatGPT, new ways to implement it into a business. So I am innovating and optimizing so that I can hold my head up high and with confidence say, I have mastered ChatGPT. Now, for the record, I've created some unique processes, unique approaches. I can say with 100% confidence, I have mastered ChatGPT, and I'm going to continue mastering it. So the reality is I've got a really solid foundation. Literally, I'm going to now go through all of the stages myself again with the new lens of I'm a beginner again, and I'm going to remove assumptions, but I'm going to do these belts at a higher level, looking for new and innovative ways to use and master ChatGPT. So I've mastered the fundamentals, I've mastered the intermediate and advanced. Now I'm looking for how do I master that cutting edge, bleeding edge innovation. So I'm going to walk through the 10 stages, and basically my goal here is that you will identify with one of these stages and know that there is a path for you. So the fundamental thing I hear all the time is people say, I'm going to learn ChatGPT. Okay, good. What are you learning about it? What do you want to master? What do you want to do with it? What do you hope to accomplish? How is your life better for using it? And really, truly, a lot of people, I don't know, I was told I need to learn ChatGPT. So that's what we're going to do, is work on the foundation and build upon it. And for the record, this is high-level theory. I don't expect you to understand everything I say, most of what I say, maybe not even anything of what I say. But basically, the idea is you're going to identify roughly where your current skill set is at. So my goal is we require everybody in our dojo to start at white belt and advance, but we will not hold anybody back if they already have the skills. We just want to make sure there's no assumptions, no miscommunication. We want people to speak and understand our language as they move forward. So at the overwhelmed observer level, we hear this a lot. People will come to us and say, ChatGPT sounds powerful, but it's overwhelming. And really, truly, I don't know where to start. At this stage, you might be wondering, is ChatGPT going to take over the world? Will it end humanity? You've probably got a lot of fears and a lot of doubts. So our approach at every level, we have 5 badges and we have 3 core paths. So our badges are about learning the mindset, the skill set, the gear set, the community, and the attitude badges. So those are our 5 badges. Mindset is, what do I need to understand at this level to progress? Skill set is, what are the technical skills I need? Gear set is, how do I use the tool to actually do this? And then we've got community, which is about how do I collaborate with others? How do I enhance my learning, accelerate my learning? And then the attitude is learning about respect and discipline for ourselves, how we respect ourselves and our community. Now, insight, clarity, growth, you will see this over and over and over as well. Insight is about understanding what we need to see. Clarity is seeing that clearly and moving forward. And then growth is where we're actually applying it. So we have many dimensions, but for the white belt, overwhelmed observer, our insight should be, and we hope people understand this, ChatGPT, specifically AI in general, isn't a threat. It's merely a new layer of leverage. And I truly believe this is the most exciting time to be alive as a human being, as an entrepreneur. We have unprecedented leverage. Now, full disclosure, this leverage will either do great things or terrible things, but it will be leverage. So it's up to us. If we're good people, we will create good things. There are people who are not so good. They will create terrible things. In my experience, the good always outweighs the bad. I think it was Simon Sinek says, I'm an optimist and I believe that people will skew towards good every time. Not always, but most of the time. Now, clarity, this is really, really important. The first step is basic and simple awareness. We're not learning how to code. We're not learning how to prompt. We're just learning how to use the very, very simple interface and how to use it well. And we see people start to grow once they have the confidence to take action, try new things, and not freeze. We talk a lot about failing fast. You know, we want to learn something, we try it. If it doesn't work the way we expected it, we get some feedback, we try it again. It is about constant, never-ending improvement. And this is where we hear a lot. People say, I need a starting point that doesn't feel like a job interview or an interrogation. So we built our program based on the mindset, the skill set, and the gear set that will move somebody from afraid to building confidence and eventually building competence. And by the way, competence comes from confidence. You can't be competent if you don't build confidence, in my opinion. And just in case you're wondering, yes, the screen color is the color of the belt. So if somebody says, well, I don't know what belt level Worried Watcher is, number one, it doesn't matter that much what belt level you're at. But number two, the screen is a dead giveaway. So this is the orange belt, the Worried Watcher. And here I'm starting to hear people say, what if I fall behind? My competitors are doing X, I'm not. How do I catch up? So here we're gone from fear of the platform to fear of being behind. So for the insight we like to share with people is your existing domain expertise is your superpower. We will talk about this over and over and over, But a lot of people want to use ChatGPT or other AI tools to fill in gaps in their expertise. So, for example, I see people who are professionals. Maybe they're an accountant, a lawyer, whatever you want, business coach, and they'll go to ChatGPT and ask it to suddenly do marketing, sales, content creation, blogging, etc., without actually knowing what a good from bad output looks like. So we always start, and literally, this is kind of the foundation from our white, yellow, orange, all the way to the end. Sorry, I misspoke. This is our yellow belt worried watcher. So see, you don't have to worry about colors. But basically, from our white, yellow, orange, green, and blue, we're teaching you how to use your own superpowers, not rely on something you don't understand. So I mentioned earlier that confidence is the root of competence. We need to be confident. We need to understand, first of all, is ChatGPT the right tool for us? Are we doing ChatGPT correctly? And are we producing good results? So we're building domain expertise, or building on your domain expertise to amplify and leverage it so that you have confidence. And if you're ever in doubt, what you need to understand is that it's almost impossible, in my opinion, to build confidence in a subject area that you are really inexperienced and new to. It's much easier to use a field that you're good at and build on that. So, for example, if you're an accountant, I would start with standard operating procedures to streamline your accounting practice, because you know what those look like, you know what they should be like, you know what the metrics are, you know a good answer from a bad. And that's where you're going to build confidence in yourself and in the tool, as well as in your skills using said tool. So for the worried watcher, the yellow belt, our clarity is looking for and identifying specific tasks that ChatGPT can make irrelevant in your business. So for me, that means creating standard operating procedures and identifying tasks that are time-consuming, repetitive, maybe a little bit tedious, that we can eliminate, automate, or delegate. And in our program, you will also hear eliminate, automate, delegate, because we believe it's kind of like a cascading waterfall. A lot of people go straight to delegate. And what that means is if your processes are inefficient, you're delegating, and effectively you're scaling inefficiency. I'm a big fan of being effective, doing the right things, and efficient, doing things right. So the first step is, what can we eliminate? And once we've eliminated, using Pareto principle and other tools, eliminated all that we can, the next step is, what can we delegate? And sometimes delegating is to another human being. Sometimes delegating is to AI or a system. And then the final thing is, so we've eliminated, we've automated, and then we've delegated. So again, it's in that order for a reason. We want to eliminate what we can, automate what we can, and delegate as much as what is left over. And the growth goal, here is where we see people making big advances, is once they've proven to themselves that a 10 times return on investment is possible now. So to give you an example, one of the things I like to do is identify a tedious, time-consuming task that takes me 1 or more hours per day. Maybe it's 1 or more hours per week, but I start with per day. We all have something in our day that maybe we could look at. And if it takes an hour a day, and I can find a way to reduce that to minutes, over 2 weeks, if I can eliminate a total of 10 hours by spending an hour, that to me is a 10x return on my investment of time. So I promise you up front, you're going to be slower than you'd like to be, but as you progress, you will start to see that time savings coming back quickly. And really, what we encourage our worried watchers or yellow belts to ask themselves or ask me is, show me how this saves me actual time today, not just eventually. So we use exercises like Heaven or Hell. We use Pareto principle. We use the Toyota 5 Whys to identify root cause. There is a lot that we can do early on to free up our time. And this is purely selfish on my point of view. If I show you how to save time today, you have time to learn more tomorrow. If I don't show you an immediate savings of time, you're not going to prioritize coming back tomorrow to learn the next thing. So we built this to show people return on investment as quickly as possible while delivering powerful results. Now, in our orange belt, we call these people skeptical seekers. And I hear this all the time, Jeff, it still feels like hype. Here, we're a little bit unclear what's true, what's false, and believe me, there's a lot of noise in the AI world. So we want to get past the hype stage, and the insight we like to share is that success with AI, especially ChatGPT, is a matter of clearly defined use cases. So we will practice defining what a use case looks like, and that includes what is a good output, what is a bad output, what's the purpose of this, why are we doing this. A good use case, the better we define it, the better we can clean it up and solve it. One of my favorite quotes is Charles Kettering. He was an innovator and an inventor who worked with General Motors. My favorite quote from him is, "A problem well defined is half solved." And I really truly believe that if we can get clear on what the problem is, the solution, the best solution, emerges quickly. So the second thing is clarity. And what we want people to do by the end of their orange belt journey is to be able to identify where the hype ends and practical value begins. Now, I love a good rule of thumb, so I'm going to give you a great rule of thumb that has served me well. Everything, and that includes this course, is hype until you've found a practical value to implement in your business. And I give that to you not to tell you to abandon hope and leave, but I want you to always ask, does this apply to me? How does it apply to me? Is it relevant in my business? And if the answer is no, this does not apply to me, no, it does not apply in my business, don't spend any time on it. However, if it does add value and apply to your business, how? So that's kind of my filter. I assume everything is hype, and this is kind of from somebody who spent a lot of time, watched a lot of videos, taken a lot of courses. Everything is hype until I find a way to apply it. So in our dojo, we focus a lot on practical application. Our teaching methodology is simple. We always teach the theory, and then we answer frequently asked questions at that level, and then we practice. So the theory is something you will sit through, you will learn a little bit, and I guarantee you're going to end up with more questions than answers. Our frequently asked questions section, it hopes to answer the questions we hear all the time, and then we get into practical hands-on testing. And so for growth, you need to develop that critical lens to filter out noise and distractions. And believe me, the internet in particular, AI as well, there is a lot of nonsense and noise. We're going to filter that out. So my default filter is everything's nonsense until proven otherwise. And we encourage people when they look at something, when they hear something, ask themselves or say to themselves, I need to know why this matters to my bottom line, not just what's possible. And I promise you, there is a massive gap between profitability and possibility. There's a lot of fun and cool and distracting things you can do with AI. There's a significantly smaller percentage that actually adds revenue to the top line and profit to the bottom line. This is a digital dojo for entrepreneurs and business owners. So the bottom line is critical. Now, our green belt is what we call the cautious tinkerer. And basically here, we've dipped our toe in and we don't really know what's next. So we're comfortable with the interface. We know what prompting looks like, but really it's sporadic and we're not getting a lot of value yet. So for insight, we want you to understand that consistency or rhythm is critical and far more important than complexity. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I understand hustle culture, but really, truly, this is about mastering one thing and building on it rather than learning 1,000 things and accomplishing very little. So in this, I'm going to bring up one of my favorite quotes. That is by Bruce Lee. And his quote is, "I do not fear the opponent who has practiced 10,000 techniques one time. I fear the opponent who has practiced one technique 10,000 times." So I will encourage you, and we actually do this with our students, be a specialist and get really, really confident in one area, and then you can develop other areas. So again, being a specialist will build confidence and it builds a solid foundation. We want to practice, 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 and then we move on to the next thing. And by the way, this compounds very quickly. When I first started, I learned a little of this, a little of that. At the time, believe it or not, there was only maybe 50 to 100 different AI products out there. I dabbled in each one and I check them out as they came out. I've got a long list of passwords and usernames that I no longer use. At some point, I realized that ChatGPT works best for me the way I work, so I decided I was going to master it. I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to master ChatGPT, and then you can use it to master other things. Now, I said everything is hype until it applies to you. I write, I do a lot of business consulting, a lot of business coaching, and I create a lot of content and courses. Writing is what I do, therefore I've chosen ChatGPT to master. Now, you might have other tools that are more appropriate to you, great. But start with one, master it, and I picked ChatGPT because once I master it, it helps me master others quickly. So for clarity at the green belt level, we want to define one or two small, repeatable, I call them AI rituals. And basically what we're doing is we're starting to build the habit of using ChatGPT regularly. And the growth step is you need to learn to transform that experimentation into a reliable habit. Literally, when I first started, and you'll probably be there at some point, I had ChatGPT on the one hand, and I had everything else, my workflows and things like that on the other. I've now integrated them so seamlessly that literally everything I do, my workflow is embedded in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is embedded in my workflow. And by the way, if that scares you because I'm dependent on one provider, I'm also almost as equally good with Gemini. So if ChatGPT vanishes, I've got a backup. But for me, it was the learning how to master something that has changed my life. So we will transform that experimentation into a reliable habit. And at this level, what we hear people saying is, my challenge is staying consistent. I need a rhythm I can trust. Now, here's something I think that's important for people to learn. I will teach you what works for me. I will teach you how I learned. I will teach you how I mastered things. And I will teach you how to customize that to suit you. The thing about AI and ChatGPT, there is no such thing as one size fits all. If somebody tries to tell you my solution works for everybody, run away, they're lying to you, or worse, they're lying to themselves and they think they're telling you the truth. The reality is I can give two different people the exact same prompts, they can copy and paste, they will get different results. So what you need to learn is, first of all, how to think like ChatGPT, how to use ChatGPT, and then how do you make it customized fit for you. Here we are at the Blue Belt, and we call this the hopeful experimenter. I love the Blue Belt because it's a real turning phase. And really the aha moment is when I hear somebody say, ChatGPT might actually help me. And really, truly, this is where it gets fun, because we're starting to learn and we're starting to see huge leaps forward. So at the insight level, we are helping people understand that ChatGPT is and should be the foundation of your new standard operating procedures. And yes, I firmly believe every business should have SOPs for their most important mission critical things. This might involve onboarding new clients, onboarding new employees. But basically, if we have standard operating procedures, we can set KPIs, we can set our benchmarks and our standards, and we can improve them. If we don't have SOPs, we're just fumbling around in the dark, hoping for the best. So I will, in the Blue Belt, I show people how to build SOPs, test them, implement them, and share them. And for the clarity moment, I'm a huge fan of, there's probably 3 books that have guided me here, actually 4. The first is The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. He talks a lot about how to optimize things. The E-Myth books in general, the E-Myth Revisited specifically by Michael Gerber, taught me a lot about creating systems and processes. Systemology by David Jennings was a huge leap forward in that. He talks about a critical path and what to document first. And then the other one that might not feel like it belongs here, but it does, is the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And basically with our clarity, we're going to break down manual work into very minute, almost atomic level, automatable steps. And the reality is, if you're an expert, you might oversimplify, you might lump too many things together. So if somebody new is trying to do what you ask them to do, they're going to make mistakes. I'll give you a really extreme example. I have a checklist of things I need to do. My to-do list includes things like write book, create course, record presentation. That is a single step in my brain, because to me it triggers a process, which triggers sub-processes. I know the steps inside out and backwards. But if I don't do something for a month or 2, I come back and go, okay, what did I do? How did I do that? But also for me to teach somebody and say, okay, here you go, write a book. They're going to go, okay, what's next? Oh, that's it, write a book. So we need to break down big steps into small steps. And really, truly, for example, the aha moment, I laughed when I discovered it. I treat write a book as a task. Literally, that's the way my brain works. I will sit down and write a book because that's the task I've assigned. I don't eat, sleep, or breathe until the book is finished, because that's the way my brain's wired. However, I realized that first and foremost, wait a minute, write a book is actually a process. There's several steps to it, etc. And then I realized actually write a book is a system with a set of processes and sub-processes. So ultimately, I'd oversimplified a fairly hefty task or project. I'd simplified it and boiled it down to a task. So when you're an expert at something and you do something well, most of the time you're going to over-chunk and oversimplify. So we spend a lot of time in Blue Belt pulling things apart and finding the minute steps. And only once we do that can we delegate. So believe it or not, that's where we're going to eliminate a lot of things. We're going to automate as much as we can and then delegate. And the growth pattern here is a shift from using ChatGPT for one-off tasks to building lasting systems that help you plan, implement, optimize, and keep maintaining. And here we hear a lot, I want to stop doing the same manual work twice and just automate it. So Blue Belt, we're looking at the repetitive, mundane, monotonous, time-consuming tasks, and we're finding ways to eliminate, automate, and delegate through systems. And by the way, my eliminate, automate, delegate is a system that has subsystems, sub-processes, processes, etc. It is deeper than just 3 words, eliminate, automate, delegate, because that is a path. So one of the things we teach is how to eliminate, automate, delegate using ChatGPT. Now, by the purple belt, we're starting to have what we call the confident operator. And here we're listening to our audience and they're saying, this is helping, but how far can I take it? And by the way, this was the most fun journey for me, is pushing the envelope, pressing it, and seeing how far I could go. So this is where we're going to push and try new things. So as an insight, the highest value is finding those recurring, repetitive, monotonous, mundane things and creating recurring integrated workflows where we've eliminated, automated, delegated. We teach Pareto principle a lot. By the time you get to the confident operator, it should almost be second nature, and you're going to apply Pareto to everything, good, bad, or otherwise in your business. And the idea is, how do we eliminate wasted time, energy, attention, and money? So for clarity, we want to identify the bottlenecks that are costing you hours every week. Where are you leaking time? Where are you wasting time? Where is your time going? And how much of that can we actually reclaim for you? So under growth, we want to achieve true leverage by letting the AI do the work while you focus on strategy. So again, think about a business. Every business, I guarantee, has waste in it somewhere. So we're not going to become efficiency experts overnight, but basically what we're doing is identifying where we are the most effective, which I define as doing the right things. And then once we identify the right things that we're going to do, we want to focus on efficient, which is doing things right. And by the way, I see a lot of businesses who focus on efficiency without worrying about effectiveness. They can be really efficient, but they're doing the wrong things. So they're wasting a lot of time, energy, attention, and money. And we want you to feel confident at this and say, my job is strategic. I'm focusing on strategy. ChatGPT and my team should be handling day-to-day execution. And the goal here is to make that very real. Now, the brown belt, this one is the unsung hero because this is where our efficient integrators have taken all of that theory and they've really embedded it and embraced it. The statement we want to hear is, this makes my life easier. ChatGPT makes my life easier. So for insight here, your SOPs are now assets that can be handed off or scaled. We talk about this at length, but basically we want to get your rock star team members to create SOPs based on how they think, what they believe, what they do. And then we find ways to upskill or up-level our least performing team members. And it's magical because our lowest performing people, we can escalate and elevate them. Our average people become better than average, and our rock stars become more rock stars. Eventually, we've raised the actual average of our organization just by having good SOPs that are handed off and scaled. So for clarity, we want to show documentation as a step towards delegation. And this is not just about the organization, it's about the individuals. So documenting is not documenting for the sake of documenting. It's how do we build systems that we can scale? And so your growth here is you're going to free up your capacity and you're going to move yourself from tactical day-to-day things to strategic leadership. And this is where I get really excited. I hear my people, once they've graduated here, they say, I'm done saving minutes. I want to save entire days. And I truly believe if you use ChatGPT correctly, if you build the right systems and processes, you solve the right problems, this level of effectiveness and efficiency is unprecedented leverage for any business, big or small. And by the way, that leverage compounds if you can roll it across the organization, not just one individual at a time. Now, at this point, one of the dilemmas people face is if I'm saving all this time or my employees are saving all this time, how do I fill my days? And the answer is really, really simple. You're going to take some extra time off to focus on projects and hobbies and things outside of the organization. And you're going to spend some time thinking strategically about how do you grow the business. And Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's true. And what I mean by that is in an accounting firm, or any business really, but an accounting firm, because it's very much about professionals and time, all you have to do to double the revenue of the business is everybody works twice as hard. Now that's not sustainable, it's not fun, it is a grind. But you can do it just by going from 40 hours a week to 80 hours a week. Sounds overly simple, it's not, don't do it. But to 10x, you need to find more leverage points, you need to be more effective, you need to be more efficient. It takes a little bit of work, but once you remove hours worked as an obstacle, you can jump forward to 10x a lot easier than going to 2x. Now, the red belt, this was, believe it or not, the belt where I thought, oh, I've arrived. I know everything I need to know. There is a false feeling of mastery because as a strategic optimizer, you might look around at the people around you and you're going to laugh because you will observe that AI isn't just saving you time, it's giving your vision room to grow. And that's a very expansive state and you might feel really confident. I promise there's more to learn, but here we want people just to be so confident they're optimizing their business inside and out, top to bottom, and really, truly, they're experiencing that freedom, and they've optimized their time, their energy, their attention, and their money. So at this level, your internal AI fluency is truly a competitive advantage for you and your entire team. And that's our insight. The clarity is we want you to define how AI should be used across all roles in your organization. And for the record, not everybody needs AI, but everybody who needs it should have it. So we're going to talk about that in some detail in the red belt. And through growth, we start to establish a cultural foundation for innovation and safety. And at this point, our red belts are asking, how do I ensure that my team is as effective and efficient as I am, and we all speak the same language? So here we're starting to build corporate culture. So if you are following along with the journey of mastery, up to red belt, we're really learning and we're slightly impacting others, but in the red belt and beyond, this is where we're starting to teach and embrace ChatGPT at the organizational level. The black belt is where we start to put on the beginner's mind again, and we look at renewing our curiosity and learning how to communicate. And really the observation here should be, I'm creating with AI, not just using it. So insight level here, mastery means moving from optimization to pure creation. So up till now, we've been mastering our own skills. We've been learning. We've been helping others. We've been teaching. And now we're starting to look for new and exciting use cases. So up till now, we've talked a lot about systems and processes. We've talked about optimizing the business. Now we're looking at what else can we do. And by the way, the black belt, in my opinion, is the most fun because you're going to break things on purpose. You're going to try things and go, "Oop, that didn't work. Oh well." Now, for the record, we're not breaking anything in production. We're not testing in the live environment. We're going to have a testing environment where we are testing and we're using scientific method to experiment and to optimize. But here is where we get clarity, and we want to identify market gaps that only an augmented human can fill. So I teach artificial intelligence. That's what we've covered so far. Now we're getting into augmented intelligence, which is literally superhumans using AI tools to be their highest and best versions of themselves. And this is wonderful because in business, attracting new customers is the most time-consuming, energy-consuming, and expensive endeavor, as opposed to creating and innovating new products and services to serve to existing customers. I believe the magnitude is 6 or 7 times as much to find a new client as it is to find a new pain to solve for an existing client. So your existing clients, customers, they already know, like, and trust you. Why not find new problems that you can solve? So in order of risk and speed, I think the highest and best use of an organization's time is identifying new products for existing customers. Next, we start to look for new customers. Then we start to look for new customers and new markets. But really, sometimes we get to we pick the low-hanging fruit, we take the easy path, and we've grown as much as we want just by adding more value to our existing clients. And by the way, the more problems you solve for your existing clients, the stickier you are in their lives, the more they rely on you. It makes it easier for them to bring referrals, send their friends, and so on. And then last, we have growth. Here you want to build a tangible, revenue-generating product based on our new skills. So this is where we're innovating in our industry and using ChatGPT. And I love it when people say, I can see the next product idea now. I want to build it and ship it fast. This is all about innovation and speed to market. And then our final stage is the empowered advocate. And to get here, we need to be curious. We need to understand where we are, what we've learned. And typically, we realize that others need this too. Pharos is based on the Greek word for lighthouse. It is the name of the first lighthouse known in history, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. And basically, we are the beacon that guides others, not in this just for ourselves, but to elevate those around us. So our insight at the double black belt, the empowered advocate role, is that legacy is built through teaching others the path you have mastered. And this is my absolute favorite level because I love the joy on somebody's face when you take them from complete and utter frustration to elation at what they've created. So for clarity, your personal journey becomes a model for industry transformation. I'm just one person teaching what I know and understand and love, and I apply this to businesses at a high level. I believe in bringing in strategy to business. I'm only one person. My vision for this is that someday we have experts trained to the black belt, double black belt level based on each industry and transforming that industry from within. So the final growth moment is shift your focus from your work to helping others master their skills. So you go from being student to teacher, and quite frankly, you're still learning more and more about yourself. But this is where we really get into that mastery because we've mastered how we learn, we've mastered how we teach, and now we're mastering innovation. And I love hearing somebody say, I've scaled my work. Now it's time to scale my impact. That is really, truly the ultimate success of the mastery program. Now, the Pharos Digital Dojo is a 10-stage program. And stage 0, the white belt, we actually have a prerequisite that gets people ready for the white belt. And the white belt level, it's free. The reason it's free, I don't want anybody coming into my world who's not ready. I don't want somebody to be uncomfortable or feel lost or confused or scared. So it's free. People can come, they can test it out, they can take the collateral, they can take the theory course, they can follow the frequently asked questions, all for free. Now, for the record, my other 9 levels, the yellow and orange, are $100 a month. The reason they're low is because we believe you are still learning, you're not getting the most benefit, so you're going to put more time in, and therefore we want to give you a savings on the monthly investment so that you can see that return on investment. And the investment goes up to the green and the blue because you're starting to get more results. You will prove to yourself it's worth it. If not, you can stay wherever you are comfortable. And for the record, this progression is suggested. It's not required. I'm perfectly okay if somebody wants to stay at the orange belt level for a year and learn everything they can. Great. If you want to go through this, typically we see people go through and get their yellow belt within the first couple of weeks. Orange belt takes maybe a couple of weeks to a month. Green belt should take about a month. And each belt after that takes a little longer because you're experiencing it and exploring. So we have the confident operator, the purple, the brown, and the red. Those are $500 a month. And you can stay as long as you want or leave once you're comfortable. You will also find, and I'll warn people of this, you will find the theory and the frequently asked questions available for free in the wild. And I hear this all the time. Why would I pay you if I can get it for free? The reason people pay is because iron sharpens iron. If you just watch the video, you're hoping you understood everything and you're going to be self-taught. That is do-it-yourself learning, and I respect that. If that's your thing, go for it. However, people pay to be in the dojo because iron sharpens iron, and we're using people in our community to grow and learn from. So if you want to be part of a community, you're welcome. If you just want to take the free materials and apply yourself, you're welcome to that as well. But basically, we have people in the dojo who want to be here, not because they have to be here. So if you want to get started, maybe you've watched this somewhere, you've seen it on YouTube, LinkedIn, what have you. You can go to pharosbusiness.com/digital-dojo. And again, we start everybody at the white belt and move up at their speed and their desire to progress, not my speed. So we will give you the tools you need to move as quickly or as confidently and slowly as you need to. There is never any pressure to test and level up in the dojo. Thank you.